Okay, welcome to the Inside Out Show. On today's episode, we are discussing Let's Talk About Sex. Okay, just before we start the show, I have my wonderful audience. Thank you so much for coming through today. I'm really grateful. I love you guys. And then Charles. Charles looking good in some colorful print. Is that silk?
It's silk and it has a lot of bright colors. You advised that I go, use bright colors. And you weren't playing colors now, it's not fair.
I switched it up. I'm way better. I try colors. You are Mr. Black, and it's lovely to see you trying out Mr. Colored.
Thank you, darling.
I love the silk. I want it.
I'm not giving you. No. Not giving
you. Anyway. Okay, so like we mentioned earlier, today we're discussing sex. Sex is such a huge, sacred word in Nigeria. I don't know about other parts of the world, but I know as a Nigerian living in Nigeria, mingling with Nigerians, sex is sort of that word that we don't really want to talk about. Like, we indulge in it, well, the people who are of the right age indulge in it, and still it's like a taboo to talk about it. You talk about sex in the society and everybody goes quiet. Why is that? But we're not just talking about sex today as married couple or adults. We're talking about sex in teenage relationships. Yes, teenage relationships, because whether we like to admit it or not, this 21st century, teenagers are having sex, and that is just the fact. So today we are looking at sex amongst teenagers, consequences, emotional consequences of sex, and so many other angles we're going to take this discussion to. So please stay with us. This is the Inside Out Show, and we will be right back after the break. Okay, welcome back. It is the Inside Out Show. Thank you for joining us. Before the break, I introduced our topic, which is sex amongst teenagers. It's a very interesting topic. Let me start by introducing our guest, starting with Tunde Mallu, who is an IT professional and a very liberal parent. Right?
Thank you.
Welcome to the show. Next is Priscillia B, Olaoye, who is a mental fitness advocate. Thank you for being here. And Idono Enoho. Thank you for being here. All right. I'm really looking forward to your views, Idono. Finally, Ni Adesanya. Thank you for being here. Okay, so let's start with the experts. Yes, it has to be you, Priscilla, because you are the child psychologist here. Let's talk about sex amongst teenagers. Why is it prevalent right now? Sex amongst teenagers.
Sex is what a lot of people think but do not talk about. So it's going on right here, but it's not coming out of here. Because the society has said that you don't talk about it, it's a taboo. And therefore, you have parents not even talking about sex to their children. When in fact, sex education should start from 18 months.
18 months?
18 months. Because it's important that you give age-appropriate sex education to children. The reason a lot of parents are not talking about it is because they believe that when they talk about it, the child then goes to do what they're not supposed to do. Some parents don't even know how to go about it. Some are too ashamed to talk about it. Some are afraid to talk about it. And religion is also not helping. When in fact, we forget that these curious minds would go and find out anyways. The moment you say, do not do something. So let's do a small exercise. Please, nobody should look at my shoes.
Street. Exactly.
What have you all done?
Hey, look at the shoes. So it's not like you look at the shoes to find out why.
Yes. The moment you say, don't do this, that's exactly what everybody would do. Because that's the way the human mind works. So you don't say, don't have sex. Because guess what? Our minds work with pictures. So when I say red car, have you seen CAR in your mind? No, what did you do? What did you see? You saw a brand of a red car in your mind because our mind processes in pictures. So when you say that do not have sex, the only thing the mind is hearing is sex.
Okay. All right. So, me, I know you have quite a contrary view, but before we get to your view, let's go to the streets. And I just needed you to establish that for me. Let's go to the streets and find out what people have to say about sex.
To be frank and sincere, from the tender age.
I think it's better we start early, because if it starts early for any of the children, whether a male or a female, it is better. Me, I would advise maybe like 12.
I think from 18, as soon as, or probably, it depends on the level of maturity. Like some children get matured faster than others.
It's something that must be taught at all levels.
Normal age to teach about sex, 18 years. At least 18 years old, a girl or a boy gets to know the meaning, know what they are doing, and getting matured enough. But 18 years old, to me, is a free age.
For a female child, at a very tender age, there are some things you can teach them. Maybe at 3, anytime, the time they can recognize any part of their body, it's time for you to start training them.
Like my own daughter, at least she's 6 now, I've been teaching her how to sit, the way to comport herself around.
Children we are having these days, they are faster than we are.
Even right from the childhood, as soon as a child is getting to age 2 or 3, to able to, when you are taking baths for such a person, telling that this is your bonbon, don't allow anybody to touch it.
Even if without introducing themselves, they have access to internet, so they could actually search through. So as soon as they start asking questions, you start exposing them and then teaching them the right things about it.
Because a small lady, girl child that doesn't know what sex is all about, you will just see, that's why you see big uncle come to them, do this for them. But because they don't know it, they don't understand it. You might not tell them this is how they do sex or something, but there are little things you explain to them, let them know. So at a very tender age, considering what is going on in our present world.
This is a boy, different from you. Definitely, you tell the child that this person is different from you. So whenever the person tries to touch you where he or she is not supposed to touch you, then your child comes home to tell you.
This value must be taught at home, so that you'll be able to let them know the wrong thing and the right thing, as regards the one that will be taught on the social media.
There shouldn't be any age limit. They have access to everything on the internet, so there shouldn't be any age. All right, thank you.
So you have to start educating your child on sex education right from the scratch.
Okay. Olaniyi, did you pick out anybody there who had the same view as you did?
Yes, really, because really I personally, as a parent, it's not my duty to do that.
It's not your duty to educate your... So
Yes.
whose duty is it?
Because as far as you give back to a child, it comes up to a certain age. You are expect that child to go to school, the teacher should do the necessary. That's why the parent provide the money. As the parent, finance something, and the teacher expects to teach them, not my own business to be doing that.
Not you, not your wife, it's the teacher's job.
Yes.
I'll get back to you on that. Idono, have you had sexual education?
Yes.
Okay, at what age do you remember?
In school or
Yes,
at
school.
home? Or
It
at
depends.
home?
You can tell us what age at home and then what age in school.
In school, like 9.
Okay, and then at home?
At home, probably like 6 or 7.
6 or 7?
Yes.
Okay, so do you feel that sexual education you got at such a tender age, like most people would say, do you think it has helped you in your relationship with your friends and also, you know, people of the opposite sex?
Yes.
It has?
Yes.
Okay. All right, first let me get Tunde. I'll get to you in a moment. I would like you to address what Nee said. That it is not his job.
I hope you're not sweating because I'm about to face you. That was
Hold it. Please don't face him yet. Let me hear from a fellow parent. Tunde, you're a liberal view, and from discussions we've had, you believe in educating your child. Tell us about that. Tell us your experience.
First of all, I want to start by saying that we cannot live in denial in the fact that the world has changed and the world is changing. What it takes to train a child in, like, let's say 20, 30 years ago is different from what it is now. If you don't train your children, the internet will. If you don't, other people will. We cannot push this responsibility to any other person. You are the closest to your children. I am the first taste of masculinity to my daughter. Before he sees any man, she sees me. So I need to be there for her. Now, I have a 3-year-old girl, and that as a 3-year-old, you don't touch a buctus. She will tell you, don't touch me.
Really?
She will tell you because I trained her. And I told her, yes, I told her, see, the teachers and people will not do that for you. We live in a world where people, in those days, they say, okay, this is this person's child. And everybody is training that child for you. Oh, don't do this, don't do this. If you do anything, you will tell your parents. Now, everybody wants to stay away because you don't even know what you will say. That the person will be offended. Because we have parents that are supposed to be children. That are parents now.
Parents supposed to be.
I'm telling you. I'm supposed to be teaching them. So you might, in a good faith, try to help somebody, and the person will see it wrongly, will be perceived wrongly, and then you fall out with the person because he feels you are either jealous or something. So people are careful now. And that's one extreme. It's complex now. So we can't push this to any other person. Every parent must take responsibility.
Okay. All right. So would you like to say something, Olaniyi? You disagree? Why do you disagree with him?
As a layman, a low-class parent, I don't know about how to read and write. How would I want to communicate with a child? What the parent going to the roadside, do my petty job to get things done, provide the money? What the function of that teacher I'm paying money to? I don't know how to write. I don't know how to read. I don't know anything, and want to be teaching what I don't know.
You don't know about sex?
I won't lie to you. As individually, my parents didn't teach me about it. Even if I have opposite sex, I with my brother and sister, we live together.
But you have sex. How did you have your child?
No, I'm just telling you because it's naturally. To me, I will tell you as individually, as a parent. Not if you look at it in a way modern day we are in now. In the olden days, what do you know about technology? Nothing like that. Everybody was naked. When God created you, you are just, nothing cover you. I don't know. And what I don't know about, want to start saying it. It's not possible. Except
you just don't have the time for it. It's not your job.
Yes.
Okay. Priscilla,
I'm uncomfortable on my chair because I want to be sure I'm hearing right. The truth of the matter is that the fact that you have born a child does not make you a father. The fact that you have birthed a child does not make you a mother. What makes you a mother or a father or makes you a parent is you taking responsibility for the upkeep of that child. And upkeep goes beyond financial responsibility. We have a lot of people who have popped out children who are really not parents. So the question then starts from, do I really know why I'm having a child? You must be able to answer that question. This child I'm having, what's my purpose for birthing this child? And what is my picture for who this child is going to become? Because guess what? What is the relevance of learning without application? When you keep teaching and teaching and teaching and someone cannot apply it, what's the essence? if you want change in behavior and you're not getting it, it means that that person has not learned what is required to change that behavior. So our responsibility is guidance. So when we neglect that area of guidance, we have failed in parenting.
That is a very valid point, but Tunde, let me ask you,
Yes.
do you think that when you expose your child to sex education at a very early age, do you think that would eventually make them start having, maybe not physical sex, but early sex in the brain?
Right. One thing that we must always remember is that just like every legal matter, the issues of sex, you cannot claim ignorant of it. Ignorance is not an excuse when it comes to issues of sex. Sex, first of all, starts from the mind. I tell people, look, there's a process to sex. You can't just see somebody and just have sex with a person. It's not possible. It can't happen. It's a process. It starts from what you think about, the things that enter into your mind, the things that go on in the head. Now, from that, you move to the next process. So you see people having emotional affair before the physical affair. Emotional. So because you're already lost in after this person. I am a Christian, and I know God judges from this place. We look at the physical, but God judges your intent. So even you look at somebody lustfully, see the bomb. You have sinned. But before men, you have not sinned. You are okay. People see you fine, wonderful, good-looking man, but your heart is dirty. You're already having sex. You have already started it. Okay. So this is the issue we have in the society. We have a lot of people with dirty minds, dirty heads, and they move around the street. You think this man is good. It's a calamity waiting to happen. The next day, he sees one small girl. He will abuse himself and do rubbish because it's already gone. He's been thinking about it. So what you think about? So you start. So when you are training your children and you are telling them not to do this, you are helping them constructively, putting their minds aright. Fine. See. I grew up with 5 girls in my house. Okay. 2 guys, 4 girls.
All your siblings?
Yes, my siblings. And I'm the closest to them. My sisters stayed nude before me, and it was not a problem. Because of the way...
Is that okay, though?
No, wait. I'll come there.
Okay.
And it's not a problem because we grew up like that. I did not see it as anything, and it was nothing before me. Now I don't do that. I don't encourage it because you can't see the mind. Fine. But I'm trying to drive something in. It was something that was pushed away from our head. That, look, you don't think about it. I can't even imagine it. My sister, no. So that helped me with other people too. Fine, I now grew up to be a Christian. So, and I followed the way of God because there are many Christians that are not following it. So, but I understand the process. And because of that, I keep it in my mind every time. Don't even start from here because it starts from there. Yeah. So, because first of all, the emotions, you can tell where the emotion will start, but you can't tell where it will end. If you allow your emotions, it can rubbish you. No matter how great you think you are, if you allow your emotions, my brother, my sister, you'll be shocked what you will do, even you yourself. So it's important.
You know what? On that note, we will take a break, and when we come back, we are discussing still sex education. We're moving forward to when is it okay to have a relationship as a teenager, and when is it okay to have sex as well. This and so much more on the show, The Inside Out Show. See you after the break.
Coming up next on the show.
Okay, but do you have friends who are having sex within the same age bracket?
At what point can you say that this is me and I am not ashamed to say this is me?
My father was so masculine, and so he was that perfect father figure. He would not sit with you and discuss what sex. How? That's not possible.
This is still the Inside Out Show, and we are discussing sex education amongst teenagers precisely. Before the break, I told us that when we come back, we're going to be discussing teenage relationships. And Idona, now I'm getting to you. After you got your sex education, maybe the first or the second, did that prompt or trigger you to think about sex in your brain?
Not really, no.
Not really? Is that a yes or no? Not really?
Say no, no.
So it never really made you think about sex. So how did the knowledge, how old are you now if you don't mind?
14.
Okay, so fantastic. How did early knowledge of sex affect your life as a girl child?
Well, it helped me know that not to do things that I'm not supposed to do. Like if I see my friends doing things that I'm not supposed to do, I know that, and they tell me like to do it, I know that I'm not supposed to, because they taught me like what to do, like what not to do and what to do at a young age. So I knew that I shouldn't do this. So
okay. Alright. So have you ever, I know this is a funny question, and as I'm asking it, a lot of people will be like, but it's just the truth. Teenagers are having a relationship at 14. I know somebody, not that I'm applauding it, I'm saying, you know, I'm not saying anything extra, but I know people who are in a relationship at 13. Have you ever been in a relationship?
no.
Okay. When would you say is the right time for you to be in a relationship?
University.
University?
Yes.
Okay, that's about 18,
Yeah.
17, 19. Okay. And I'd like to believe you're not having sex, are you? Okay, but do you have friends who are having sex within the same age bracket?
No.
No, or you're not, you don't, are you that open with your friends?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Oh,
You're not giving me information, are you?
no, they are not. They are not.
They're not. Okay. All right. So I'd like to believe that. Fantastic. Great circle of friends. Now, Priscilla, when is it okay to be in a relationship as a teenager? Is it okay to have a relationship as a teenager?
African parents expect you to meet your spouse a day before your wedding. Honestly speaking.
Okay.
Honestly speaking. And I find it hilarious. So it's important that we set the pace. How does it even work? And that's why we're having serious issues with relationships. I for one, am an advocate of people starting relationships when they're emotionally mature.
When is that?
There's a difference between calendar age and mental age. We have 40-year-olds that are not ready for relationships. We have 16-year-olds that would handle a relationship so maturely. That's the truth. So you want to begin to test the emotional maturity of, you want to be emotionally aware so that you can understand yourself well enough to know when you can stand for what you believe in. At what point can you say that this is me and I am not ashamed to say this is me? At what point am I sure that I can say that this is what I stand for and I will not compromise even if I meet Denzel Washington? This is what I stand for, both for male and for female. So I would like to take us briefly through the stages. So the first stage is, you want to say from known to unknown. I don't know this person. And then I suddenly get to know him. He becomes an acquaintance or she becomes an acquaintance. That's the first level of relationship. So with an acquaintance, you're having open conversation. Okay, what's your name? Who are you? What do you do? Are you in school? Are you trying to write JAMB? What course are you in? You know, what course are you studying? You want to know you from unknown to known. So you move from that box and you go to friendship. So when you say someone is a friend, that means that, so in friendship, you now want to consider dating. But here in this part of the world, the moment you say dating, it means that that person is your boyfriend. No. So you can date as many people as possible.
That's okay.
Because dating means that I'm beginning to give you
attention,
some of my precious time, which is very important to me. I'm beginning to see that you are worthy of 30 minutes of my day to catch a cup of coffee or to get a drink. So I just want to know you better. So there's nothing wrong going on dates. So you can date as many people as you can, because you're trying to then sieve out who is worthy. And you can date as many times as possible.
As young as.
You can start as, hey, I don't want to put an age to it, because we have people who are old and still not ready to date.
Okay, child, can we see what we have here?
Yeah, so a child is a young human being below the age of puberty or below the legal age of majority.
Of majority.
And this is a really interesting definition. It says an immature or I'm confused. An immature or irresponsible person. Yes.
Is also a child, irrespective of the fact that he's 60.
You have parents that are children.
Yes.
Olaniyi, I haven't heard from you in a while. I would like to hear from you. From everything that has been said, have you had a change of mind, or is there anything you picked up? Or I would love to hear from you.
As we, the parents, normally I would say, because negligent novels, to say to that, because after the teachers are there, no matter the way we can still communicate with us, they do to assist us, we surely pass it to the children.
You're saying that the teacher passes information to you, and then so you know what to tell your child or what to address.
Yes.
So you're still leaving it in the hands of the teacher.
Yes.
Okay. All right. You have a comment. All right.
Yeah.
Growing up, yes. I remember the first time I ever knew anything about sex was from school. And that's because I think that's where upbringing has a role to play as well. My father was so masculine, and so he was that perfect father figure. He would not sit with you and discuss what sex, how. That's not possible. And then my mom was, almost never around. I understand where he's coming from. Yeah, I learned about sex in school because we had, special teachers who would come in to teach us, like herself, come in teach us about, sex. I'd like to ask you, Priscilla, a parent who doesn't think it is his duty, or is not even willing to learn, like you said, it's one thing not to learn, another thing to learn, I want to know. Who is not willing to learn and, sit down and talk to his child about sex and all of that, and then is willing to pay good, sums of money to people like yourself to educate his children about his children or her children about it. Don't you think we can, give that kind of parent the benefit of the doubt? I'm just saying.
You see, doing something is as important as why you did it. Why is that parent willing to pay money to people like me, who are very few, to teach their words about sex education? What's the motive? Is the motive the fact that they don't want to know and they really, really, really don't want to know? Or they feel that it's condescending to do that, or is above them to do that? Or they are not willing to be vulnerable with their children. And this is one of the biggest problems in parenting. You want your child to have that perfect picture of you, like you've never made mistakes in your life. And then you are not willing to come to that level where you can also be vulnerable to say that I have also made mistakes.
I think that's typical with the African parents.
Right? So it's important that that parent, first of all, gets to know why he is wanting to pay money. You see, we do not understand the potency of our sexuality. If we understand how knowledge of our sexuality can make and mar us, we will take it more seriously. It's a no-brainer. You also did not learn on a straight path. You picked from here and there, here and there. It's important that you also give that child the opportunity to learn that way.
Coming up next on the show.
And the truth is, just like I will not eat eba and rice at the same time. Do you understand? And since I'm already married, there's already a confine, I cannot break. So I cannot even eat rice when I'm eating my own eba.
So you do not need formal education to train a child because you didn't have an education, but you had sex anyways.
What are you afraid of when it comes to your child? What's your biggest fear? Okay, do we have comments online?
Oh yes, we do.
Social media.
I was lost for a second. You
were lost with your questions.
You are fantastic.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, so we put out a post on Facebook and we said, how soon is too soon to start talking about sex? And we got some responses. And Temitayo Shobo says, to your kids, as soon as they start talking, that is important to talk about sex, you know, as soon as they start talking. Joseph says, for kids, when they get to puberty, explain that the changes and feelings that they are experiencing are normal, but that they should be careful with anyone of the opposite gender who touches them inappropriately, and that they can always tell them if that's their parents, if such ever happens. In the event of confusion of any kind, parents should let their children know that they are always open and ready to have a conversation on that topic.
Okay, can we see the next one? Something I'm 16 and endowed and something.
Oh yes, okay, this one says, I'm 16 and endowed, my boyfriend can't seem to get enough of me and he is asking me for sex. Okay, when is the right time?
To have sex.
To have
sex. 16, that is a teenager. Let's see the comment.
Let's see the comment. Emmanuel Bayo says, when you earn enough money and you're independent, duh. Solomon Johnson says, the right time is when you're legally married. When you engage in sex before marriage, you are selling your pride and internally you will also feel guilty. Yeah.
Okay, so, Idono, have you ever felt some level of attraction for another guy who is possibly a teenager?
Yes.
Yes?
Okay.
How did you deal with it?
I just let it fade away.
You just let it die away, just like a normal crush. Tunde, when your daughter comes back home, because I'm made to believe that you built such a relationship with your children that if perhaps they go out and have a crush on someone and they're like, oh, Dad, I met this person and I think he's kind of cute. How do you teach your children to, now they are sexually aware, they're aware of their sexuality and they've embraced it, yes, but when eventually they get attracted to someone, which would always happen, how do you teach them to deal with it?
I think the best way that I will advise my daughter to go about it is, just like even me as a married man, I must not lie to myself. I see other ladies that I like.
Thank you for being honest. Thank you for that honesty. Yeah.
And the truth is, just like I will not eat eba and rice at the same time. Do you understand? And since I'm already married, there's already a confine, I cannot break. So I cannot even eat rice when I'm eating my own eba.
Right.
Do you understand? I know my eba is food for me, is everything for me. What I mean is my wife is all I need. So I see other people that are attractive and okay, good looking, and it's off. I remove it from my mind, and that's all. Okay. I don't go again and start thinking about that thing.
So
when I look, I choose not to see. I look at it, okay, I look at it and I choose not to look beyond what I have seen. Do you understand? So the same way, I will tell my daughter, you are attracted to this guy. Oh, okay, no problems. But first of all, define what you want to do. Is it time to do anything with this? If there is not, then there's nothing. So at best, if he's a good person, he can be a friend. He's a good person. And not bring them around me. Okay. Both guys and girls. Bring them home. Everybody come home, no problem. So if you're going the wrong direction, I will tell you, no, that's not the way to go. Go this way. That's not the way to go. So I'm involved in everything. If it's a friend you like, okay, no problem. What do you like about the person? I like the way to talk. Okay, no problem. There's no problem, but don't go beyond that. You like that, no problem. But it is when we now begin to look at other things and you tell them, no, don't talk to him again. No, what you will do is, when you say, don't talk to him again, that moment, the child will not tell you anything again. We go behind you and start talking to the person. So, in a nutshell, I will not tell you don't do that. I will help you manage it. I'll tell you what are the things you like. Okay, why do you like this? Okay, no problem. He's a friend. and then you know that it's a friend, you keep the person at friendship level, just like you said. You keep the person there. You don't go beyond that. You know what to do. So there's nothing bad in having friends. We all have friends, opposite sex.
But
whether you like it or not, we'll have to mix.
How about a man like Olaniyi, who obviously gave us his reasons? He didn't go to school. He's not even aware of anything sexual education. Talk more of even calling out the son or daughter to educate him and say, okay, he's not even sure of the age. You have said 18 months, right? And Idono got hers at 6 years, which would you say that's late?
It's late because guess what? Never let your learning get in the way of your never let your education get in the way of your learning. Education is not being in the four walls of a classroom. Our parents, some of our parents, maybe not mine, some of our parents didn't go to school, but they had native intelligence. Who taught our mothers how to count who taught them how to count their money in that pocket? You know those market women? Who taught them to do that? Who taught them to do the math? They didn't go to the four walls of a school to learn putting money together, but they were very good with their math. So formal education should not come in the way of life education. So you do not need formal education to train a child because you didn't have an education, but you had sex anyways. Did you have any parents? Yeah. So the private area does not register educated or non-educated, no penetration. It can be penetrated anyways.
You know, I've noticed there's this fear in the minds of a lot of parents. Just like I see my friend here. You know, I see a lot of fear. But one thing we must not forget is danger is real, but fear is a choice. You can choose to be afraid or not. Because the truth is, whether you like it or not, that danger that is there is imminent, and it may either happen or not happen. So you are afraid of your children going to date, or telling them some what's it called, sex education, giving them some sex education because you're afraid that it will broaden their. But whether you like it or not, which is better? Is it for the child to be pregnant and come home and bring disgrace and shame on the person, or you educate the child and then the child learns?
Yeah.
You know,
I think at this point, sorry Tunde to cut you, I think at this point I'm going to ask you, Olaniyi, what are you afraid of? Like, aside from death, of course, no parent wants to lose their child, but aside from death, what are you afraid of when it comes to your child? What's your biggest fear?
Because some of them, if you tell them this and that, they want to do the practical of it. And if you don't put into their memory, start telling them some things, they won't want to even go into their mind, they won't go there. But when they teach them in school, they are seeing the picture, they are seeing it, they are looking at it, and they are in the class, they are seeing the opposite set. The teacher will be able to explain more in detail, beyond a parent can even go and enlighten them.
Charles?
Ask the question now. The comment from social media said something about parents being open with their children. And then you're a parent, and you've said here that you've been able to tutor your children as regards sex and all of that. Now, what advice would you give parents who are not open in that regard? Because my father, I'm giving a personal story now, my father wasn't the type. And then I remember vividly when he found, I really don't know what he was doing in our room, but then he found, I don't know if I'm to say the word, he found a contraceptive in my younger brother's wallet, and he literally died. And we're trying to calm him down, like, we know this thing. My brother was, 17 at the time? And it's better he's trying to protect himself and protect whoever he's doing whatever with than, creating, a scene. So what advice would you give to such parents?
The truth is, all right, we live in an age where we call it a knowledge-based age. If you leave the child, if you don't teach them, they might, be lucky and not go that way. But the world itself is pushing the wrong things at them. You move now, billboards are showing a lot of things that you don't want to see. Their abused friends in school, they are teaching them things. People are coming up with a lot of things, so they are mixing up with a lot of danger. And you cannot just choose not to be aware. You have to be. You have to, because it's a time where these things are increasing every day. And then don't leave your life to chance to say, okay, maybe. Because the better part of it, the better part of it will be that the child will go the wrong way. But the child will be lucky not to go the other way. So you have to be deliberate about it, intentional about it. Teach them. Go and get knowledge and teach them. There's no excuse for not getting the knowledge.
All right.
Later on the show.
Because there are some parents who just be like, you're following this girl, Abi, so you're doing. They don't want to know that, no, she's just my friend, though. I came to collect notes from her. No, you Abi, come back home.
Don't forget that daddy also collected notes when he was a teenager.
So they know. Okay, thank you. Let's have the next question, please.
My name is Kenneth.
Straight to the point.
My question goes to the lady there. Despite the education on sex in schools, churches, and so on, we still have baby factories and prostitution around. What is the cause? Or what are the solutions you can provide to those menaces?
Who are you throwing your question to?
Priscilla.
Priscilla,
so,
okay.
Personally, I think that the society is a product of families. No society dropped from the sky. If each family can take responsibility for their words, I think that things will change.
I think, though I don't have a question, I just want to make comments.
Okay, quickly.
I think this topic has to be on both sides, from the aspect of Niyi and from Mr. Tunde. It is good for parents to teach their children from tender ages, like she said, 18 months, and likewise teachers in school. I'm an educationist. I teach in a school. I'm a teacher. But I have noticed that most parents don't talk to their kids at home, and they bring everything to school. We educate them, we tell them stuff, especially girls. And there was even a time a girl in my school had issues with the person she was living with. I think one of the sisters-in-law was living with them, and the man was molesting the girl. So she couldn't tell her aunt at home that the man was doing something like that to her. And I was so angry. I wanted to bring the issue up, and she just kept begging me. So I taught her something. I told her, if this man comes to you again, don't just hide. Bite him, scream, do everything possible so that you get help at home. And then they won't just feel you're telling a lie. On the aspect of what Mr. Niyi said, don't you think you'll be a careless parent if you just feel everything goes to school? Do you know what children do in school? Do you know the things? In fact, sometimes they make teachers go crazy. They will just send them away. Like, go home. Go to your parents. I'm tired. Because they keep questioning us and everything. We can't do everything. We can't. You are paying us, yes. But how much are you paying us to foster your child to a level that it will be of benefit to you? We won't get the benefit now. Don't throw everything to us. Okay. Teach your child at home. Because if you nurture them well too, it will be of good for you too.
As parents, due to the way the olden days they were being trained, they don't really understand us now. So when you're trying to like give them fact, or let me just use the normal word, OT, they don't usually like understand. So my question goes to Sister Priscilla. Just help us encourage parents to try and understand we youth, so when we are doing something, they know why we do that. So when they are trying to react towards us, they know, yes, he did this thing because of this. Because there are some parents who just be like, you're following this girl, Abi, so you're doing. They don't want to know that, no, she's just my friend, though. I came to collect notes from her. No, you Abi, come back home. Guys, I'm just trying to help you change their ideology, because I know everything in Nigeria now is based on our ideology. Like the whites now, why they are going front or why they are fast or why they are like the best is because their ideology is more in a, let me just say, in a liberal, yes. But us, we still have some archaic ideology which I want you to like talk about.
Address. Okay, quickly, please. Okay. Quickly.
We are Africans, we are cultural, and culture is part of what defines us and makes us unique. If you travel, you'll be so amazed at the fact that they want to learn your culture. So please, it's important that we're not mistaking the importance of culture or discipline for westernization and lack of discipline. Yes, so let's get back there. And then don't forget that Daddy also collected notes when he was a teenager.
So they know.
But then there's a balance to it. Thank you very much. I always love listening to him. There's a balance, to it. When there is lack of understanding, it brings about a problem. You need to seek to understand your teenager. You also need to seek to understand the world that your teenager is growing in. The world that you grew in as a teenager is different from the world that your teenager is growing in. Yes. The challenges you faced as a teenager back in the days is different from the challenges of the new generation that we have. Myself inclusive, I'm a teenager, whether you like it or not. So I would encourage parents to relate to how they were when they were younger. You do not expect these children to grow or these young people to grow at once. Leave them to make their own mistakes. If you are sure of your training, if you're sure of what you have taught them, then you will be free to allow them to explore the world.
Okay.
I want to disagree with Mr. Olaniyi because you can only train your children, but you cannot teach your children. You sending your children to school is a normal procedure. You pay their school fees, but when it comes to the time of training, the teacher will not do it for you. You have to do it because you are the father.
Okay. Short and straight to the point. Okay.
And I want to speak to Mr. Olaniyi.
Quickly.
He said something about pulling all the responsibility to the school. Fine. There are some things the school have that the parents as well don't know. There are some things, but there are some fundamentals that the parents can as well still teach the children. But there are some other things like as a female, as a girl, there are some calendar things that they'll tell you, but as some parents don't know all of that.
Calendar thing, you mean the menstrual cycle?
Yes, and every other sex
call
education.
It what it is.
Menstrual cycles, yes.
Okay.
So, not all of that the parents might know. So, I still think to an extent it's still right. But on the other side, there are still some things you can still do to help them. Going back to the kids, I guess the National Assembly was deliberating about some 9-year-old being married or something. I can't really remember the particular thing they said then. So what about that? What's your take?
Early marriage or child marriage?
Yes, child marriage. That they were contemplating saying yes, no, the Muslim thing in the north.
This area is where you're just going to see, if you have to draw a caricature, you see smoke coming out of my eyes and my nostrils. This area.
I think child marriage is a topic for another day.
Yeah, it's something that we really don't want to talk about.
Yeah, I'm really passionate about it as well. So I'm sure we would, if I meet anybody with a contrary view, I'm sure we're going to fight on this set.
Yeah. Because it's important that we recognize that we're living in a country that has constitution. So you cannot begin to quote some constitution that is not socially accepted. And please, can we not draw this in the lines of religion? Because the moment you bring religion into it, it clouds the judgment of people who are looking at it. This has nothing to do with religion. This has nothing to do with me not accepting that this is what the Quran says. This has everything to do with the fact that our nation runs on a constitution and it does not run on what's the name of the court? Yes, it doesn't read. It runs. There's a national constitution which we all believe in. We cannot quote that other constitution when it's convenient.
Okay. All right, let's have you.
I'm passing this to Mr. Olaniyi about what he said on that the reason why he's sending his children to school to go and learn and do sexual stuff. Yeah. So I'm trying to tell him about sexual education. This is about like you can't rely on the teachers for everything. You as a parent, you have to impact some things in the children. Like they spend at least, let me say, 8 hours in school. Why the rest at home? If you just rely on the teachers, because they are also human beings as well, because they have their own problem. They have their own problem. That's even you as a human being that you have to at least have some things that you have to just put down and help your children to know more things.
Okay. So basically, I think bottom line of our discussion today is the fact that when it comes to sex education, the first duty, just like you mentioned today, the first duty starts with you as a parent, because whatever the sex of your child, you are the first person they come in contact with, whether being the first man they know in their life or as the first woman. So it's very, very important that you get involved 100%. The education starts with you, right, Priscilla?
Yes, a lot of parents are accidental parents. They just pop children by accident.
Exactly.
So you didn't become an accountant by waking up. You went to school to study accounting. You became an accountant. To become a parent is important for you to prepare for it before you begin to have them, so you don't mess up their lives.
Okay, fantastic. So this is obviously a very hot topic. Like, I do have a lot more questions. We didn't even get to talk about the virginity angle, or the reason why a lot of girls, like when we talk about sex education, mostly the focus is on girls. What happens to the guys? The girls get all the sex education and then they protect themselves and dress decently and all that. But oftentimes we don't talk to the guys, you know? So there are so many questions, but I'm afraid we're running out of time. So I think on this note, we're going to call it a wrap on the show. I mean, I hope you took out a lot of things, particularly parents and of course teenagers. I got my first sex education on Inside Out with Agatha. Right, that was the first time ever I had a sex education. Before a lot later in the future, my mother had, it wasn't even a conversation, it was sort of like a comment, you know, that was what happened. So I think this generation, parents, we can do a lot better. So on that note, we call it a wrap. A big thank you to DJ Rabiu, Beauty by Omalicha, and Abel Cell Nigeria Limited. Thank you for partnering with us on this show. And from me to you, and up until the next episode, take care. God bless you. Thank you.